Hello friends and fellow tone seekers, I hope you are all well. I've been on a tone quest as of late to find the best rock and metal tone. I've been a tube amp player for like 20 years, but recently grabbed the XFX3 to mess around with and a Victory VX100 Super Kraken, a Revv G20, and some Neural DSP plugins. First on the list, the Super Kraken arrived just today, so let's check it out. All right, let's get into this thing. It's about 28 pounds. Ooh, that's a beauty. Oh man, I'm so excited. Alright, here we have a few sound clips. This is all raw audio with no processing on it. The dials on the amp are all set to noon as a general starting point. Here is the Super Kraken on the second gain channel with the preamp focus engaged, which adds some mid-range character and a touch of gain. And here is the Revv G20. And this is the XFX3 Mark II. I should probably note that for this quick test, I did not reamp. These are all individually played. So here we are one more time, and I'll scroll through as they play. To my ear, the Super Kraken has a smoother low mid-range with a bit more growl to it. I find the Revv to be somewhat scooped sounding with tight lows and a slightly fizzy top end. To me, the XFX sounds punchy, tight, and perhaps a little bit brittle. Let's have one more quick listen. And then here's that G20. And then the XFX3. There we have the 3 high gain sounds of the different amps. Before we check out the clean channels, I think it's worth mentioning that I replaced the V1 preamp tube in the Super Kraken with a 12A-Y7 as opposed to the 12AX7 that came stock. Now the reason for doing this is that there was too much gain on the clean channel, even with passive pickups and really minimal input levels. The 12A-Y7 has a gain factor of 45 compared to a gain factor of 100 on a 12AX7, so essentially doubling your headroom on that first gain stage. Alright, let's have a listen to the clean channel of the Super Kraken. Alright, next is the lovely clean channel on the Revv G20. Next is a clean sound on the Axe-Fx 3 using a modified Brit pre-patch. Alright, that's all for the clean stuff. For the next section of this video, I will be reamping identical guitar parts using the Kraken, the Revv G20, the Axe-Fx, and the Nolly Archetype, and that way you can hear what they sound like in a mix, and I'll also pull the mix back at various times so you can hear just the guitar. First up will be the Victory VX100 Super Kraken, and the track I'm using for this demo is called Beneath the Slime of Ages by Casovita. If you enjoy it and want to hear the full song, check out the link in the description below. Cool. I think all of that sounded really good. Maybe the G20 had the edge when it came to rhythm. I found it to be really warm, tight, but it had a nice clarity to it still. The Kraken, I thought, maybe sounded better on the lead stuff and the rock-oriented riffs. The Axe effects was really lively and kind of more present, maybe. The Nolly Archetype plugin I thought sounded really good, super usable. I thought it sounded really even, maybe a little bit spongy, but overall, really good. Before wrapping this up, I also wanted to talk about DI boxes and load boxes that I tested, keeping in mind that I didn't need impulse response capabilities because I like to use a plugin for that, for recording anyhow. The first one that I tested was the Suhr Reactive Load, and this box actually sounded fantastic. It has a balanced line level output, which gives you low noise and a good loud signal, and it sounded the most like my tone. I tried the 2 notes captor, and I found out that there was a limiter built in, and I would prefer to do limiting after the fact. You can check out this waveform comparison and see that the 2 notes was actually limiting the audio. If you're looking for a load box that has impulse response capabilities, beware. Some of them, like the 2 notes captor X, actually have an unavoidable analog to digital and digital to analog conversion stage. This conversion is necessary in order to utilize an impulse response, and your audio goes through this stage before it'll reach any of its outputs. In a recording studio environment, this is a real deal breaker for me because the last thing I want is another conversion before my audio gets recorded into my DAW using my high-end converters. Each time your audio gets converted, it loses subtle nuances of the original signal, and the first conversion is by far the most important. If you're playing live using a real guitar amp and you don't want to use a physical speaker cabinet or an analog cab sim, then having an impulse response in your load box is going to be an okay possibility, but keep in mind that many live sound mixers are digital these days, so your audio would be going through yet another conversion before it reaches the listener's ears. The Suhr Reactive Load IR would be an excellent choice for both recording and live purposes, because it features an all-analog signal path to its line output, which bypasses all digital sound processing. So if you just wanted to use a line output and record your analog guitar tone into a DAW, then you can apply whatever impulse response you want with an IR loader because your audio is already in the digital domain and it's only been converted once and by better converters. In my case, I used the Lynx Aurora. I also tried the Mesa Boogie Powerhouse, which I think had a defect because the fan sounded like this. So needless to say, I returned the Powerhouse, which additionally only had an unbalanced output. I prefer a balanced output because you get 3 decibels louder of a signal. It utilizes a phase inversion technique to eliminate self-noise from the cable, and you can have longer cable lengths without any degradation of the signal. I also tested out the ToneKing Ironman 2, and it actually worked out really well as an attenuator, but not as a DI. The output is not line level as it states in its manual, and it's actually instrument level, and I had to boost the heck out of it in order to get a good signal level. And so I ended up getting this to test out, which is a really excellent DI made by Neve. It's called the RN DI, and it takes speaker level and outputs microphone level so that you can record it through a mic pre, but it also passes the speaker level through to the speaker cabinet or the load box or whatever you have downstream. In my case, it's an attenuator so that I can run a speaker cab in the studio and not have it be insanely loud. And for that, it worked really well. All right, one more cool thing before I go. I was looking for a tube screamer style transparent overdrive to act as a gain stage, and so I tried out all these pedals. The JHS Bonsai and Moonshine V2, the J-Rocket Archer Icon, and the Walrus Audio Warhorn, the Wampler Plexi Drive, Clarksdale and Tumnus, and the MXR Timmy. And the one that really stood out to me was this. The JHS Moonshine. It's really fantastic. It's got a clean blend, so you can bring in as much or as little of that overdrive as you want, and it's a perfect gain stage tool. All right, with that, I hope you are all well, and be well and stay well and love each other. Be kind. Have fun.